4-1 it ended, and there was that hat-trick, as you saw, from Vinny Junior as well. I wonder if Luis Garcia looks as sad as Joan Laporta just did then in the stands. Not quite. He's a little bit happier there.
He scored 4 goals that were pretty much tap-ins, and your expected goals is only 3.7. How does that work?
Not quite sure.
Am I throwing a little...
yeah, I'm not quite sure that's the direction the conversation was going, Chris.
A little ointment in there.
At least you said expected goals.
Yeah, I suppose it times G the other night, but I mean, I don't know. Luis, come on, talk to me.
Luis,
where do you want to start? Barcelona defence, or where do you want to start?
I think we could start from Barcelona defence, definitely. Or the approach that Xavi did to this game, knowing that when you face against Real Madrid, you cannot leave as much space between your goalkeeper and your line of defense, because probably Real Madrid is one of the best teams in the world doing transition going forward, transition in attack, because they got 2 of the fastest players up front, that is Vinicius Junior and Rodrygo. Rodrygo, because he knows exactly what he is doing every single time, the diagonals, the movements, when he cuts the pockets, when he runs behind the back of the defenders, is one of the best. So you need to pay attention on that. The movement that he does, that is doing to get out of the offside, arriving to the halfway line and get it back in position to not having offside is just magnificent, to show to the kids how not to get in offside positions. But that's something that I expect that a centre-back from Barcelona knows, that if you go to the halfway, there is no offside. So you have to pay attention that when a player of Real Madrid is in control of the ball and is looking forward, you cannot make the line, because he's in all favor, he's on all advantage to make the pass without any pressure. And that's something that I think that tonight Barcelona's defense hasn't paid attention at all, because we've seen it not only twice, but 3 and 4 times. No pressure on the ball, passes out on the back of the line, and Vinicius Junior, Bellingham, Rodrygo, and even Brahim in the last part. So we can start from there, but definitely there is a lot of points that Barcelona needs to change for the coming months if they want to at least arrive to the last part of the season with a chance of getting a trophy.
The feeling ahead of the game was that there was a lot of pressure on Xavi here, especially with the way that the season's gone, especially with the fact that this was a title up against their biggest rivals, Real Madrid. What does this result mean for him? Trouble,
because the way that this competition and this match was sold by Xavi and Barcelona in the press conference and following the matchup against Osasuna is, look, this is where we turn the season around. Let's go back to a year ago and how good we were in that final against Real Madrid. And that's where we got our season going. And that's how we felt better about ourselves and we went on to win the title. So here we go. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to be able to show the best version of ourselves. Well, the best version of Barcelona hasn't shown up in a long time. So when you put everything on a game like this and all the attention is, oh, maybe this is the turnaround for Barcelona, and you perform in the manner in which you did today, then everybody involved with Barcelona will be disappointed, and everybody who's in a decision-making position for Barcelona is under pressure. Truth of the matter is, if you're Xavi, you put a lot into this game, and your team did not perform. Your team was... We look at the score 4-1, and that's one picture. That is a very clear picture between the difference between Real Madrid and Barcelona. The difference between these two clubs is actually bigger than the 4-1 result. Today, Real Madrid could have scored as many goals as they wanted to. Barcelona had no answer, and they haven't had answers defensively over the course of the season. So it's not a surprise that this happens on this stage, because it hasn't been happening at all. Everybody has been scoring against Barcelona. Why is Real Madrid going to be any different?
I don't know. It's unexplainable why you would hold such a high line like that when there's no pressure on the ball. And it's unexplainable why somebody like Jules Koundé just can't make a good decision defensively. If they don't put this right, and there is no sign this year that they're going to, they're not going to be 7 points off Real Madrid or 8 off Girona, whatever it is. They're going to be 18 or 20 by the end of the year. If he even sees the end of the season, got Napoli in the Champions League, defend like that, you'll lose to Napoli over 2 legs. There are other teams in La Liga that will be, and bearing in mind Almeria, who are rock bottom, gave Girona a really good bit of a going over today. Yep. There are other teams in La Liga that will look at Barcelona's defence and go, we're going to get at them. Home and away, we're going to get at them. And that is a big problem. I think you saw on his face at the end, Xavi, I think he's looking at it thinking, I don't know if I've got the answers. I just don't know if I've got the answers to this Real Madrid side.
Let's talk about the Real Madrid side, because Vinny Junior did get that hat-trick, a first-half hat-trick as well, and he is among a small few who've managed to do so. The last time it was done with Xavi and Zamorano back in 1995. It took the same amount of time, 39 minutes as well, and then look at that. You're going way back to find it happening before that. Let's talk about Vinny then, if we can, Luis Garcia, because obviously this is a man who's had a few injuries of late, but look at how deadly he can be for Real Madrid.
Yes, of course. We talked about that. He arrived maybe 2 weeks ago, played minutes during 2 games, and he already looked sharp. There were concerns because he's been twice this season. He picked small injuries on the muscle, so you don't want to risk him or you don't want to have him for a long time away. But today he looked sharp. He looked comfortable on the field. He was lying on the left side, waiting for the moments, and Barcelona actually put them the perfect scenario. If you are expecting Vinicius Junior to enjoy, it's with the space, because he can perform and use his speed, his velocity to use and get advantage of those positions. And today he was magnificent. Every single time he was on the ball, he was dangerous. Every single time arrived in the perfect moment to the perfect space, and Araujo couldn't handle it. We've seen Araujo struggling today, probably one of the most important moments, because it's been a couple of times that we talk Araujo holding him very well, tying him up, and Vinicius Junior haven't done anything. But today, Vinicius knew what he had to do, going inside sometimes, going outside sometimes. So it was a mess for everyone. It was totally a threat every single moment. Those 3 goals, they are totally well deserved. He did fantastic, and the end product that we are asking for Vinicius Junior is arriving. So yeah, it's a top 10 today for Vinicius.
And the key there for Vinny Junior is the variety in the choices he made today. It wasn't just himself parked on the left-hand side, 1v1 situation with Araujo and the help coming out of the midfield. No. Sometimes he took a central position. Sometimes he went out wide. Sometimes he was in between the defenders. And you could tell between Jules Koundé and Ronald Araujo, they're having all sorts of issues. Now, Jules Koundé himself has had a terrible season, an awful season. And that affects not only him, but it also affects Araujo. In the commentary, you hear Maka saying something along the lines that Araujo, he needs to play right back and he needs to play center back. The reason that's the case, and while it was a passing comment, the reason he mentions that is because Araujo has to cover not only whatever the situation he has on the outside with Vinny Junior, he also has to cover the space for Jules Koundé, because he doesn't know whether Jules Koundé is going to be able to take whoever attacking player shows up in that space. And that puts the defense in a real bad situation for Barcelona. What Vinny Junior did today was expose all of that on the inside, on the outside, in between, underneath. And this guy had issues. Vinny Junior was saying, 1, 2, 3, yeah, that's a hat-trick, see you guys later, take care.
You know, when he's got that amount of space to run into, Vinicius Junior, he can be incredible. But do you know the most important space for him is the space between his ears? Because you remember back to the Montjuic, the first Clásico of the season, which, by the way, Barcelona played really well for 75 minutes. He was horrendous. He moaned and he groaned. He wanted to have a whistle and referee the game, and everything was a foul, and he would stop and he let people run off him. That's sort of bad Vinicius. When he's in the right frame of mind, when he's clear and he's concentrating on his actual game, he's almost unstoppable. And when he's got his mate Rodrigo, who's looking a lot more confident, working with him, and then Bellingham coming from behind, that's a huge threat. But a lot of it's between his ears. And when he's got that head on, Vinicius Junior, he's arguably one of the most influential frontmen in world football.
Well, Real Madrid have just taken the Supercopa off Barcelona. They are hoping to take La Liga's title off them come the end of the season as well. And when you take a look at the title odds, Real Madrid are 1-5 on their big favourites over Barcelona to do so. Would you even bet against them at this stage, Luis Garcia, with what we've been seeing from them?
No, of course not. I wouldn't bet right now the Real Madrid is not going to get the trophy. I'm not saying Girona, because we are talking about today's game, but definitely it's going to be very difficult for Barcelona to get back to their best, to get back to their good result, to get back to the confidence, to get back to what Barcelona is, that philosophy of being dominant, creating chances and scoring goals. So it's very difficult to go against Real Madrid right now, but not because of today. It's because the way they've been playing the whole season with that confidence. Even in the games that they were not dazzling or playing well, they look solid. They get the results. You saw that even with a lot of injuries, they managed to continue winning, to continue being the best team. And right now, with that confidence that they have, they are unstoppable. They can change whatever the shape they want to play, with Bellingham into the middle, with Bellingham on the left side, with Kroos, with Valverde, with Modric in the second half. It doesn't matter what they do, because right now the team is just full of confidence, full flow, and they are on a cruise boat. So very difficult to stop Real Madrid, and yeah, they look favourites for me to win La Liga.
But that's a really good, when you look at that midfield, that's a really good balance. You've got Tchouaméni, who's back fit again and big and strong, make tackles. You've got Valverde, who's going to run all day. Toni Kroos, what do I need to say about him? Pass the ball for fun. And then Jude Bellingham. So, I mean, that for me has just got a really good, when we've talked before with Modric and Kroos on the side, two great footballers, but you lose a little bit of that dynamism in there. Toni Kroos has got a little bit of freedom, doesn't have to work quite as hard because those others will do some work for him.